very soon. Before all of that, though, at 8 minutes past 4, artificial intelligence, it does really feel like it's quickly made its way into our lives over the past couple of years, shifting really from kind of an idea or something that you might have heard about that seemed very limited in scope. But it is going beyond that, not just in terms of conversations about how and could it be used in the education system, how could it be used when it comes to your professional lives, but also into our afterlives. Afterlife AI is a startup the way they describe it is they give you an opportunity to build an AI persona while you're still alive that can continue to exist once you're gone. What do you think about that as an idea? Is it something that appeals to you? Would you think about it, taking the opportunity to create kind of an AI version of yourself to leave behind, to communicate and keep in touch with loved ones? Does it make you feel a bit uneasy? What do you think? 0467 922 891 is the text number. Chris Williams is the CEO, founder of Afterlife AI. Chris, good afternoon to you.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about how this all works.
Look, it's very exciting to be speaking with you today. And obviously, look, I think from the outset, the Afterlife AI product that officially launches in a couple of weeks is not for everyone. I just want to say that from the outset. However, there is a growing need and a growing want, I suppose, for digital legacy management and, really controlling, your persona or all of the things that are already on the internet in a way that you can manage today. As opposed to sort of having that done after the fact, potentially by a third party or just that data that's left on the internet. I think, it's a really exciting cross-section where I think the trust in artificial intelligence today from a consumer perspective is a lot higher than it was, even 12 months ago. And the technology is now available to make this really happen. So, yeah, great to speak to you today and look forward to some questions.
So would it be, in a sense, a physical presence? Would it be take the form of a kind of like a video example of yourself? Would it just be text or would it be audio? How would you interact with that persona?
So the core essence of the persona is really a chat interface or interacting via chat. However, as far as building the persona and the most effective methods there, you can upload photos, videos, and obviously audio. And what it does, it can even take nuances, say, from a photo where you say, look, this is my mum or here is my son. And it can even, from that photo, determine, part of the relationship based on the interaction that's occurring or, in a video, so to speak, as well. So it's all about building those very detailed data points about the persona to get that likeness as accurate as possible. And then you've also got a sort of a sounding buddy or a friend that you can speak to that obviously knows you very well, and continue having that persona build and grow until the point where you're no longer here. But prior to that stage, you can nominate trusted contacts who are the only people that can interact with that persona. And also there's a process called Executor Lock where the persona building or the personality actually stops growing the minute that the person is no longer here. And I think that's a very important aspect where you can actually cement that personality in time as it was and have it continue on in a controlled environment. That's quite secure. And one of the important differences I think here, well, two things. One, obviously the ability to be able to do this yourself and control the process is something that a lot of people take comfort in. And secondly, all of the data processing is done locally. And then the persona profile itself is then based on the anonymized data. So none of those photos or videos or communications are actually shared with a third party AI product, so to speak. So I think it sort of ticks that box from a security and privacy perspective. And look, people ask, what's the idea behind it and why would you do it? And I think, the honest answer is, look, I'm a father of 4. I've got 4 young kids, the youngest being 3. And, the ability to leave a message, theoretically, or hypothetically, I should say, what would you say to your daughter at her wedding, in 15 years' time or 20 years' time? Those sort of things are quite resonant. And I think there are, at different stages of life, this type of product is more relevant. Obviously, you've got someone who's got children, maybe perhaps grandparents, later stage of life who are, planning and wanting to leave a legacy. And then obviously, there is a scenario where someone may actually be unwell and sort of planning for it. So, I hope that sort of provides a bit of an overview of what the product is.
No, it does. Stay with us, Chris, but we're getting quite a couple of comments and questions around this as well. Kim from Hallett Cove, what do you think about this as an idea?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
There's a certain creepiness about it, but it also occurs to me to be the next logical extension. I mean, we've left photos of ourselves for hundreds of years, and then it was recordings of ourselves, and then it was videos and DVDs of ourselves, things like that. And as technology moves, we just get to leave the next thing, and this is the next thing.
Kim, thank you very much. Appreciate your thoughts. On that note, Chris, clearly we've heard from Kim there saying, look, sounds like the next step in the evolution. But he did say too, sounds a bit creepy, and you kind of touched on that as well, and other people on the text line saying, it does make me feel a bit uneasy. Does that make sense to you? There's kind of that feeling of, this all feels a bit uncomfortable.
I think if it didn't feel that way, there would be a problem. We're talking about a very sensitive topic and something that's very precious to everyone generally. And I think that sensitivity is then how we can really best handle the process and the data privacy and all the rest of it. And look, I agree with what Kim said, 100%. I think that this is a byproduct of technology and demands driven as well. But ultimately, what we're talking about today and what happens in the next 12 months, we can see. We can see that directly in front of us. But if we look forward 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, the rate of pace and evolution that's occurring right now in technology, artificial intelligence, and this type of data, this is, I wouldn't say inevitable, but the uptake or the interest or the trust, there's going to become an inflection point where this really becomes more mainstream. And I think that's the tipping point that is quite exciting to be a part of at the moment. And I think we're there now.
Have you given thought to, and I guess, when you talk about life and death, you can get deep pretty quickly, right? But questions around even, could it complicate things like the grieving process? If somebody that you know and love has died and they are no longer with you, you say goodbye to them and grieve and get through that process and move on, versus if they die but then there's kind of a different version of them that continues on, how that interacts with things like grief?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and I do see that in some instances it could prolong or create issues in that respect. I mean, that's not something that we're ignorant to. I think what we're trying to do here is cater to what I believe and what we believe is a demand for this type of technology. And as I said, it's not going to work for 100% of people. And I do think there are circumstances where it may not be the most suitable avenue or the best method for moving on or grieving. That being said, I think in a lot of scenarios it's a healthy medium, an interaction that I think will also provide support, be able to reminisce, and so in some instances, I mean, there might be a scenario where a couple's been married for many decades. I mean, that ability to still be able to maintain a conversation and reminisce of those key items and talk about children getting married. And look, I think there's a lot of benefit there as well. And then if you flip it around the other way, and if you look at someone, and this is absolutely not the target market, but it is a byproduct of what we've created. If someone is unwell and they know that they don't have a huge amount of time, there's probably, in our analysis, there's a lot of reassurance and almost filling a void there of loneliness and being able to pass that legacy on or really get it done in a way that's, really going to, I think, is going to provide some sense of comfort. And there's also an element where some people don't want to burden their family, or they want to sort of try and control the process themselves. So, look, I think there are many different ways that this does benefit people, and obviously there are scenarios as well where it may not. And I think, given the frontier that we're at the moment, I think we need to be very cognizant of that and really work closely and watch closely to best deliver the best outcome for the largest percentage of people that we can.
Chris Williams is with you, the founder of Afterlife AI. We're talking about this idea of an AI persona of yourself continuing on after you die. I'd love to hear what you think about it as an idea. 0467 922 891. You've kind of touched a bit, Chris, on the things like the obviously you can understand that privacy would come through as a pretty early question that would be raised too, but also I guess it's something that kind of has to be built into, like you were saying, someone has the power effectively to almost be an executor, or to be able to say that's enough of Nikolai's AI persona, after 10 years turn it off.
Yeah, correct. So that would be predetermined by the creator of the persona. So there's two different elements here. Executor Lock is obviously the persona stops building or stops learning, and that's foundational knowledge. That's really who the person is. It's still going to learn things such as someone got married last week, or things like that, sort of current items. Mm-hmm. But the other item is trusted contacts, and I think both concepts are just as important as each other, and they're interrelated. Trusted contacts is whereby you or I would say, okay, we nominate Susie or we nominate Bob, or both jointly to be the ones that do control this persona, and basically the ownership of the ability to, I suppose, administrate or turn off, or whatever the wording may be, that is handed over to those trusted contacts at the point where the creator is no longer around. And I think that's an important aspect that really creates that security here. And I think that it also ticks a bit of a need that is inherently there too.
And so, just finally, it sounds very much like this technology is basically here.
It is. And look, for many years, I think industry and businesses have been looking at artificial intelligence saying, wow, this can supercharge things, this can create efficiencies, this can, increase productivity. And I think it's only more recently, perhaps the last 12 to 18 months, even last 9 months, where the business to consumer aspect, so, the mum and dad, us, we've started to trust this technology more and more. Now, I'm not saying that we're completely past that line where everyone trusts it. I understand the risks and concern around security and privacy, but we're at the point now where the technology is so advanced that it is delivering real-world benefits. And I think it's a very exciting time to be able to deliver these products into really a world-first type scenario where you can control this with the privacy and the security and the settings, and it really is by consent. It's up to you. So, we're very excited and obviously looking forward to the future.
It's been interesting. Chris, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chris Williams, who's the CEO and founder of Afterlife AI. A number of your thoughts coming through on the text line on this. Amanda says, what I would do to just hear my dad's voice again and to hear some of the stories that I've forgotten. Another person, Adam from Athelston says, I think it would be a nice way to preserve the memory of someone, especially if, say, you lost a parent and then ended up having children of your own, that those children could have a sense of what their grandparent may have been like. But other people say, one person says, believe it or not, death is part of life. It allows those still alive to grow and move on. Like it or not, every one of us is just a drop in the ocean. Another person says, I've seen some of the issues caused for loved ones prolonging grief by having a Facebook page that they can send messages to. What would this AI model do in the future in terms of encouraging or discouraging certain choices or behaviour and the potential consequences of that? I mean, there are a lot of really interesting thoughts around this, I think quite compelling thoughts around this as well. Graham says the fact that anyone would consider an AI version of themselves to continue on after their death proves the current state of society's mental health. People don't know how to let go. That's from Graham on a hill somewhere. But then, similarly, another person on the text line says, I lost my dad to motor neuron disease and I would love to have something like this in place with new grandkids arriving. Keep your thoughts coming, 0467 922 891. And Greg, too, from Victor Harbour, raising questions around the environmental impact of AI. 21 past 4 is the time. Up next,